So I've shown you Blue Eyes White Dragon, what it can do, and combos for it. Let's talk about a deck that unfortunately kind of fell on its face, but it's still one of my favorite decks from the GX era. Talking about CyberDark. So like I said in the intro, CyberDark kind of fell on its face. By that I mean there's not that many good support cards for machines. Um, I mean you got decks like Earth Machine that does pretty good, that has cards that is supporting for that. But I'm talking about cards that are just machine in general, not specifically to Earth Machine or specifically to Light Machine or Dark Machine or whatever. Um, there's not that many, and that makes this deck kind of not very good because there's not enough room in it really to play a bunch of support cards because you need all the cards that you're playing in this deck to actually do what you want it to do. Now you can argue, oh, you only need two Cybernetic Horizons, two Realm, and like 1 to 2 Power Bond, and yes, you would be right. You can lower the size of this deck by 3 or 4 cards to add in more things like Infinite Permanence or Valor or Nibiru or whatever. But it doesn't change the fact that there's not much actual support for it. Also, fun fact, the less cards you actually have in the deck, the less likely you are to actually draw them. So, playing 2 Horizons, 2 Realm, 2 Power Bond, 2 Clockwork, not really that great. Because you actually want to see them. That's why I'm playing 3 core. I want to see this in my hand as much as possible. Hers is one of those that I don't really care about. But yeah, let's actually just go over the list. How about that? Cyber Dragon times 3. If your opponent is the only one that controls a monster, you can just special summon this card from your hand. This was one of the best cards back in the day when it first came out, and people actually wanted it no matter what deck they played. Of course, back then they didn't really have archetypes. You have a machine deck, or you have a warrior deck, or you have a dragon deck. And this was played in just about any deck. I'm playing 3 of them. CyberDark Chimera. You can discard 1 spell or trap from your hand, add 1 power bond from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good. You can only use dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion material this turn. Also, once when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material. It turns power bond into overload fusion, which I'm actually not playing in this deck because I wanted to keep it relatively small. Anyway, you can also... no, already read it. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 CyberDark monster from your deck to your graveyard with a different name than cards in your graveyard. This helps you get into your CyberDark Dragon and CyberDarkness Dragons because of that. One of the original 3, CyberDark Edge. If this card is normal summon, target 1 level 3 or lower dragon monster in your graveyard and equip that dragon to this card. Pretty good. It gains attack equal to the original attack of the equipped monster, which is kind of nice. This card can also attack directly, but if it does, using this effect, its attack becomes half. So, well, the damage is halved, if you will. If this card would be destroyed by battle, destroy that equipped monster instead. Now, the original 3 all share that ability. If this card is normal summon, target a level 3 or lower dragon, equip it. It gains attack equal to the original attack, and all this stuff. Their unique effects are the second half of their text. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. And if it would be destroyed by battle, destroy that equipped monster instead. CYBERDARK Kill. Again, if it is normal summon, then you can target a level 3 dragon and blah blah blah. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I believe it's fixing the rain. Anyway, moving on. CYBERDARK Cannon, one of the new cards, which this is actually a dragon. It kind of looks like a larva of some kind, but, yeah, I don't know about calling it a dragon. I mean, are these supposed to be its wings? I don't know. Anyway, if this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can draw one card. Decent. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. By the way, this is a level 3 with 1600 attack. That's pretty powerful for a level 3. You can discard this card, add one machine CYBERDARK monster from your deck to your hand. During damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send a monster from your deck to your graveyard. So it also helps you get to your CYBERDARK dragon place. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can target one CYBERDARK monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. That's actually pretty useful. You can only use each of the following effects of CYBERDARK Claw once per turn. You can discard this card, add one CYBERDARK spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Decent. During damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. Also helping you get to your place. Also, it's another dragon that's level 3 with 1600 attack. So, the idea is you would send Cannon or Claw to the graveyard and be able to normal summon Edge and then equip Claw or Cannon to Edge and, you know, have a, let's see, 2400 attack point creature. Yeah. And of course, Cyber Dragon, or Proto Cyber Dragon. This card's effect is so freaking simple. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field. Yeah, it's that simple. Of course, we have Ash Blossom. Everyone knows what Ash Blossom does, so I'm not even going to read her effect. Cyber Dragon Core. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is normal summoned, add one Cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand, including your CYBERDARK stuff as well, because it has the name, it has Cyber in the name. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. Pretty useful. You can only use one Cyber Dragon Core effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, yeah. Basically, you get the normal summon effect, and then next turn you can potentially get the graveyard effect. Cyber Dragon Hers. Not a card that I really use all that much, but it's there because it is kind of useful sometimes. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. You can only use one of the following effects of Cyber Dragon Hers per turn, and only once that turn. If this card is special summoned, you can make this card's level become 5 until the end of this turn. That is one way to actually let you get into your rank 5 plays. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except for machine monsters, which is... Have you seen the rest of the deck? Pretty much everything but Claw and Cannon in this deck are machines. I mean, unless you're, you know, counting the two non-machines in the extra deck. But, you know. Cyber Emergency. This is actually played in multiple different machine-type decks that actually play cards like... Drytron uses it to get into Cyber Angel, I think it is, the ritual monster. Add one light machine monster that cannot be normal summon or set, or one cyber dragon monster from your deck to your hand. And the next part is way too long for what it should say, but if the activation of this card in its owner's possession was negated by your opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can discard one card and add this card to your hand. Okay, so let me shorten that. If this card's activation was negated by your opponent and sent to the graveyard, discard one card, add this card to your hand. Simple! Instead of having to drag it out. But Konami. So, Anyway, you can only activate one per turn. Cybernetic Horizon. This card is always treated as a CYBERDARK card. Send 2 dragon and or machine cyber monsters with different attributes from to the graveyard, one each from your hand and deck. Add 1 dragon or machine cyber monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, send 1 cyber machine monster, cyber machine fusion monster, I guess. Machine cyber fusion monster or whatever, from your extra deck to the graveyard. You can activate 1 per turn. You cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for machine monsters. So, yeah. There's that. Power Bond. This card used to always just look weird to me, because I never really understood what it was. That is a welding torch, an old school welding torch, and someone in an old school welding mask. Yeah, or a brazing torch, I guess you'd call it. Anyway, fusion summoned 1 machine fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. And it gains attack equal to its original attack. Yeah. So it basically doubles its original attack. During the end phase of this turn, this card is activated, you take damage equal to the amount of attack gained from this effect at the time of summon. So basically, you're doubling the attack of a creature, and during the end phase, you're taking the original attack damage back. Yeah. Limiter removal. Double the attack of all machine monsters you currently control until the end of this turn. During the end phase of this turn, destroy those monsters. Clockwork Knight. All face-up monsters on the field become machine. Machine monster you control gain 500 attack and defense. Also, machine monsters your opponent control loses 500 attack and defense. Pretty good. I'm honestly surprised that this is a continuous spell and not a field spell. Just kind of my opinion. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then discard 1 card. Add 1 Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Clockwork Knight once per turn, and you can only activate 1 Clockwork Knight per turn. So, yeah. CYBERDARK Realm. When this card is activated, you can add a CYBERDARK monster from your deck to your hand. Or add 1, I guess, whatever. With a different name from cards in your graveyard. Pretty nice. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 CYBERDARK monster. You can only use the previous effect of CYBERDARK Realm once per turn. If you equip a monster... let's see. If you equip a monster from your graveyard by the effect of a CYBERDARK monster that activated when it was normal or special summoned, you can equip from your opponent's graveyard instead. Why do they add so many freaking words to that? If you would equip a card from your graveyard by a CYBERDARK monster, you can equip from your opponent's graveyard instead, basically. That's so much simpler. To me, anyway. CYBERDARK in Dragon. One of the big reasons that I actually wanted the Cyber Strike structure deck. It's a pretty decent card if used properly. But it's CyberDark Dragon plus Cyber End Dragon. Must be either fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing one level 10 or lower CyberDark fusion monster equipped with Cyber End Dragon. It is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, so I'm pretty sure that means Effect Failure doesn't work. Infinite Impermanence doesn't work because they are activated effects. Pretty sure that's how that works. I could be wrong. But, anyway. You can equip one monster from either graveyard to this card. This card can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of equipped cards equipped to it. Pretty good. Cyber End Dragon takes 3 Cyber Dragons. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above material, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. In other words, attack a 0 defense position monster and do 4,000 points of damage. Pretty nice. Cyber Darkness Dragon. 5 Cyberdark effect monsters, which means that if you could play 5 Cyberdark Chimeras and get them in the graveyard, you could just use Cyberdark Chimera, which is kind of neat. Anyway, must be fusion summoned, or must first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can equip one dragon or machine from your graveyard. Well, machine monster, I guess. To this card, gains attack equal to the original attack of that equipped monster by this effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can send one equipped card you control to the graveyard, negate that activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Decent. Being noisy for no reason, people. Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. 1 Cyber Dragon monster plus 1 plus monsters in the extra zone. Or extra monster zone. It cannot be used as fusion material. Must first be special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above material, or above cards, from either field to the graveyard. Pretty decent. The original attack of this card becomes 1,200 times the number of material used. So you can send... You can make this card like a 3,600 attack point monster, at most. Because you can use your opponent's extra monster zone monster, as well as your own, essentially. Chimera Tech Over Dragon. Cyber Dragon, of course, plus 1 plus machine monsters. Must first be fusion summoned. If this card is fusion summoned, send all other cards you control to the graveyard. The original attack and defense of this card becomes equal to the number of fusion material used for its fusion summon times 800. This card can attack your opponent's monsters a number of times each battle phase up to the number of monsters or fusion material used for it. Not bad. Cyber Twin Dragon. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above material. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. CyberDark Dragon takes the original 3 CyberDarks. Must be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, target 1 dragon monster in your graveyard, equip that target to this card. It gains attack equal to the original attack of that equipped monster. This is when you would actually want to play something like Blue Eyes, just because, it gives you a 4,000 attack point beat stick. This card also gains 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard. If this card would be destroyed by your battle, destroy that equipped monster instead. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. This one's actually really good. 1 Cyber Dragon, plus 1 or more machine monsters. Cannot be used as fusion material, must first be special summoned from the extra deck by sending the above cards from either field. This card gains original. Bleh. This card gains. Crap, I gained bulk. The original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of fusion materials used for this card. So, in other words, Clockwork Knight turns everything on the field to machines. And if you hear background noise, it's someone hammering something in the background. Anyway, Clockwork Knight turns it into everything into machines. Well, this requires you to just send from field to graveyard. You don't use polymerization, and you don't use any kind of fusion spell. Okay, so you just send the entire field. You get out 3 or 4 monsters plus CYBERDARK, of course, and your opponent has out, let's just say, 3 or 4 monsters. You're just like, you know what? Let's contact fuse into this using the entirety of the field, all monsters. So this can potentially have up to 12,000 attack. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. Anyway, now we get into the XYZs, or XZs. This one requires 3 level 6 light machine monsters once per turn. You can also XZ summon this card by using CYBERDARK Nova. We already knew that. Transfers material, gains 200 attack for each material attached to it, blah blah blah. Once per turn, you can target one face-up attack position monster on the field, attach it to this card as material. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate that activation. If you do, destroy it. So you do get an omni-negate. But it's kind of finicky to get out. Then, of course, there's CYBERDARK Nova. 2 level 5 machine monsters. Once per turn, detach one material from this card, then target one CYBERDARK in your graveyard. Special summon that target, which is decent, I guess. Once per turn, quick effect, you can banish one CYBERDARK from your hand or face-up field, from your monster zone. Where else would it be? This card gains 2,100 attack until the end of this turn. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon one machine fusion monster from your extra deck, which is pretty nice. Then we have the Link 2. 2 machine monsters, including a CYBERDARK. They could have literally just made it a Link 1 and said that it requires a CYBERDARK. This card's name becomes CYBERDARK while on the field or in the graveyard. During each battle phase, if this card has not declared an attack, quick effect, you can target one machine monster you control with 2,100 or more attack for the rest of his turn. That monster gains 2,100 attack. Also, neither player takes battle damage involving this monster. You can only use each effect once, or this effect once per turn. Then we have the newest card for this deck, honestly, or any machine deck, really. One non-Link monster. It's a Link 1, so it's kind of broken. Like most Link 1s apparently are. One Link 1 machine monster, one non-Link machine monster with 1,000 or less original attack. If this card is Link summoned, you can send one face-up continuous spell you control to the graveyard, add one Clockwork Knight from your deck to your hand. You can target one machine with 1,000 or less attack in your graveyard, tribute one machine except for this card. And if you do, special summon that targeted monster in defense position. Pretty useful. I have 2 of those. And then, of course, we have IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight. As for the side deck, it's just 3 Imperm, 3 Effect Veiler, 3 Naviro at the moment, because I haven't really come up with a side deck for it. But, yeah, that's the deck. So, if y'all want to see a combo video, that'll be out pretty soon, hopefully. But, yeah, that's all I got for you. What am I trying to say? I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's all I got for you in this video. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, let me know. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.